stream light stream. Okay.
And we are live. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Happy Hanukkah.
Shabbat Shalom.
What?
I don't think so.
I am.
Oh, it's coming. Okay.
Muted.
Oh, you're getting sound from here.
Yes.
Can you turn down your volume?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I'm getting feedback.
Okay.
Cool. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful Hanukkah and ready to welcome Shabbat. We have a lovely Shabbat service planned, Shabbat Hanukkah service actually. And let's get started. Adam's on the slide deck tonight. He's also going to be playing the role of David tonight because David is unable to be here this evening.
Oh, I thought you meant there was going to be a play.
Oh, no. I would like
You know, my jokes aren't as good.
As in King David.
I would like to invite everybody, if you're comfortable, to turn on your video feed. As we are building community, it's so much better. It's so much easier to do that when we can actually see each other's faces. And especially as we light the candles tonight, it's just lovely to do that. So Adam, if you could bring up the slide deck, that would be wonderful. Thank you. We are going to begin our Shabbat Chanukah service with Chanukah Chag Yafeh Kol Kach. I gotta raise that a little bit. Chanukah, Chanukah, Chag Yafeh Kol Kach, Orchali Misaviv, Gilead and Rav. Chanukah, Chanukah, Zivivon Sof Sof, Sof Sof Sof, Sof Sof Sof, Manaim Vatov. Chanukah, Chanukah, joyous holiday. Children laugh, children sing, children dance and play. Chanukah, Chanukah, dreidels spin around, spin, 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 then fall to the ground. Verse 2, Chanukah, Chanukah, ein chalom li'esh, living boats, ganyot, b'chol bayit yesh. Chanukah, Chanukah, chag chaviv me'od, shir una, zamruna, utzeu lirkod. Chanukah, Chanukah, windows glowing bright, ganyot, fry and float, like every night. Chanukah, Chanukah, holiday so dear, dance and sing, spirit bring, filled with joy and cheer. We begin, we're going to continue actually, with the lighting of the Hanukkah candles before we light the Shabbat candles. So I invite you, if you have your Chanukiot with you, to light the shamash first. and we'll join together in the blessings. If you want to unmute, we've been doing it on with everybody unmuted throughout the week, and it's been fine. We're embracing the cacophony and joining our voices together. Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say amen. Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Who would like to bless the Shabbat candles this evening?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so we may, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotah v'tzavanu lahalek ner Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. What is the miracle of Hanukkah? Against all odds, we are here. Against all common sense, we have lit these candles. We see these flames before us now, a miracle. We stand in community here, a miracle. We see these flames leaping through space and time, joining us to history, to our people. You're going to recognize this tune, not usually associated with L'chadodi. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad yishmeru el hamil. I got the wrong key, sorry. There we go. We are God's candle. We are made to shine, not just one time in our history, but every day, even today. God knows the awesome potential hidden inside us. The gift of Hanukkah is the light we must bring to this precious world. On this night, we remember our power, mighty and eternal. Bless us, God, with courage and strength, health, love, and peace. We are God's candle. May we shine and illuminate the world. Amen. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabba, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayetecho beit Yisrael, ba'agala, uvizman kariv, v'meru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam li'amei amayav, yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yinaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, Shemei Kudesha Brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'ama, v'yimeru, amen. We continue with our call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Shammai taught the miracle was that the oil lasted, though it dwindled daily. In remembrance, he said, kindle 8 lights to start and remove one each night, ending with one brave flame flickering alone against the dark. I can't bear that thought. It feels too much like hope running out, like how awareness often diminishes as life approaches its end, like watching abundance vanish into smoke. I want our lights, our hopes, our loves to increase day by day, even though in most years the solstice hasn't yet come. In this hemisphere, darkness grows, but we can kindle care for each other and for our fragile world, imperfect and connected. Give us, God, the ability to cup our hands around hope's tiny flame. We are your candles. It's our job to shed light. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'el אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Sorry about that.
Left over vodka smoke.
Yeah. Is there somebody who would like to share this reading?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
A candle is not diminished when it lights another flame. Hope is not diminished when it leaps from heart to heart like wildfire. A seed is not diminished when it lets go and roots unfurl and pale green tendrils sprout. The things that matter most aren't zero sum. They defy the laws of physics, conservation of matter, chemical processes of combustion, even when we're far apart or quarantined. The light from your soul's candle reaches mine, and between us, look, we blaze like the light of creation, more than the sum of our parts.
Thanks, Sue. השמיים והארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברוחם וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. Oh, let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you far from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha bal givurot, umito melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Would someone like to share this reading?
I'll do it.
Thank you, Mike.
We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories, glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace, born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Thank you. Al hanisim ve'al ha'orkan ve'al ha'gurot ve'al ha'shurot ve'al ha'milchamot she'asitam la'osmenu b'yamim ha'hem b'zman hazeh. Al hanisim ve'al ha'orkan ve'al ha'gurot ve'al ha'shurot ve'al ha'milchamot she'asitam la'osmenu b'yamim ha'hem b'zman hazeh. We thank you for the miracle. Whoops. We thank you for the miracles, for the redemption, for the mighty deeds and saving acts brought about by you, and for the wars which you waged for our ancestors in the days of old at this season. And is there somebody who would like to share the rest of this special reading for Hanukkah?
We'll do it.
In the days of the
In the days of the Haman,
Hasmoneans.
Hasmoneans, Matthias ben Yohanan, the high priest, and his children, when the evil government of Greece rose up against your people Israel, to make them forget your Torah and to make them leave the laws of your will, in the great mercy you rose up with them in their time of trouble. Is there and fought in their fight, judged their cause just. You delivered the mighty into the hands of the weak, and many into the hands of the few, and the unclean into the hands of the pure, the evil into the hands of the righteous, and the arrogant into the hands of those who engage in your Torah. For you make the great and holy name in your world.
One more.
And for the peace, and for your people Israel, you brought about the great triumph and redemption on that very day. And when your children came to the Holy of Holies and emptied your temple and purified your holy place and lit candles in your holy courts and established these 8 days of Hanukkah, grateful to acknowledge and to praise your great name.
Thank you. Shalom Rabba Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom meditation this evening. We have Hanerot Halalu, which is a traditional Hanukkah melody performed by Chava Morel and her friends. I'm afraid I don't remember the names, though, but the rendition is beautiful. And Adam, you need to come off mute. We welcome the new month this week. In fact, we welcome it tomorrow night. So we're going to bless the new month. Yehi ratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, shetechadesh aleinu et hachodesh haba l'tova v'livracha. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Tevet Yihiyeh B'Yom Rishon, Haba. The new month of Tevet will begin on Saturday night and Sunday. Our thoughts now turn to those in need of healing of mind, body, and spirit, those in our community and those close to our community. Barbara Arno, Marcy Berman, Carol Castro, Isaac Cohen, Sarah Cohen, Sylvia Cohen, Susan Cooley, Kate Cosby, Bruce Dalby, Carolyn Dowland, Stuart Dowland, Don Elmore, Steve Feynman, Bernice Fischel, Justin Folk, Barbara Frisbee, Greg Gonzalez, Michelle Harvard, Matt Kiefer, Jenna Lesser, Olivia Martinez, Dennis Martin, Jean McPhee, Dan McShane, Mike McNerney, Tom Moore, Charles Patrick, Ruth Ann Paul, Ken Samet, Diana Samuels, Bruce Schlossberg, Ron Stevens, April Singer, Emilio Vasquez, Susan Weber, Marcia Gorin-Wesser, and Kay Williams. Are there others for whom we're praying for healing this Shabbat?
Reta Okeanos Sultana.
Thank you.
Inga Bollinger.
Thank you.
Harriet Richmond and Keith Shimke.
Mike Cutter.
Randy Penn, Anne Mary, and Larry all Joneses.
Thank you.
Jacob Blake, David Fisher.
Thank you. For those who've been named and for those we name in our hearts, we say, Misha Berach, Avotenu, Ve'imotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, V'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, V'Leah, V'yivarech et hacholim shalanu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimaleh Rachamim Alehem, Lahachalimam, Ularapotam, Ulahachazikam, V'yishlach lahem mehera refuah, refuah shlema min hashamayim. Refuat hanefesh, Refuat haguf, hashta ba'agala, ubizman kariv, v'nomar. Amen.
Amen.
And we join together in the Misha Berach that we sing. May the source of strength something different for us tonight. This year, around Hanukkah, a large number of Jewish organizations, in an unprecedented move, have joined together in what they called the Shine a Light campaign. Shine a light on anti-Semitism. And when I'm talking about a large number of Jewish organizations, we're talking the Anti-Defamation League, we're talking the Jewish Education Project, Jewbelong.com. Jewbelong.com is an organization that its mission is to engage the disengaged. And they focus in large part on millennials and interfaith. Let's see, who else? Hillel International. The Foundation for Jewish Camping, the Jewish Federation of North America. I mean, big organizations joined together in this campaign for the Shine a Light on anti-Semitism. And they provided all kinds of educational materials for families, for toolkits for Jewish educators, for day schools, for congregational schools, etc. Well, these posters showed up over Thanksgiving weekend in Times Square. I wanted to show them to you, and I'm interested in your reaction, your thoughts about them. We're just 75 years since the gas chambers. So no, a billboard calling out Jew hate isn't an overreaction. Chocolate hummus on an onion bagel isn't the hate crime we're currently worried about. 3,500 years of Jew hate doesn't make it right. Being woke and anti-Semitic is like being a vegan who eats veal. Here's an idea. Let's ask everyone who's wondering if Jew hate is real to wear a yarmulke for a week and report back. You didn't like it when we didn't defend ourselves, and you don't like it when we do. Doesn't leave much wiggle room. I promise to love being Jewish 10 times more than anyone hates me for it. So I'm interested in your thoughts.
Could you please repeat the one regarding woke and anti-Semitism? I don't think I quite understood that one.
Yep. Let me find it. Being woke and anti-Semitic is like being a vegan who eats veal. So someone who claims to be woke but is anti-Semitic is like being a vegan who eats veal. It's
Okay.
hypocritical.
A bit confused.
It's hypocritical, actually, is what it's saying.
Well, I want to respond to the woke part because I think the woke generation or the fad or whatever's going on is what's creating more anti-Semitism, more Black hate, more racial vision in this country.
Mhm.
That's my response.
Okay.
And that's particularly relevant now because of the recent things that have been happening on campuses, where the larger groups of social justice organizations have essentially been throwing out Jewish organizations that are known to be progressive because they're okay with Israel, to put it politely. There's a lot of that happening right now,
Mhm.
which is basically eating veal and each other.
Other thoughts? Reactions?
I'll respond. You know, as I listened to all of that, I thought back to Moses going to Egypt and bringing the Israelites out of Egypt, the strength that they had, what they've all gone through. And I think that's, we have to continue to look back in our past and take the strength that they had and use it for today. I don't see the world ever changing. I fight vehemently for integration, etc. But I've been involved in politics for 30 years. And what I'm seeing is getting worse than it is getting better.
We are seeing an awful lot of anti-Semitism creeping, you know, not only just creeping up, but like really hitting us in the face lately. We've seen it in our city. We've seen it across the nation and around the world. We really around the world. We have some ideas why and why now, but not entirely.
I guess I'd like to respond again. It's not hate just affecting, a rise of more hate just affecting Jewish community. It is a rise of hate throughout every minority community now. As I said, I've been involved in 30 years of politics. I have never seen it as bad as it is right now. I was just getting ready to write an article on the fact that I think what is going on right now is worse than what was going on in the 60s.
I agree with that. I agree with that. However, I really want to focus on anti-Semitism right now. And I want to focus on this particular campaign. And I'm interested in your reactions to it. Do you think it's effective? Do you think it's not effective? You know, if you were to walk out into, out into our public spaces, walk downtown, walk on the Riverwalk, and you were to see these signs in our public spaces, how would you respond? How would you react? What would you think?
Some of them are good, I think, as far as being effective communication. Some of them, the chocolate homeless one is just, nobody would get that. And it's kind of dumb. But the vegan one I like, but then I live in Chapel Hill, which is a small college town. So with Duke University next door and UNC. And so I see a lot of that generation.
I give these organizations a lot of credit for putting this together, because more often than not, we don't say anything about it when it happens. We just let it happen. And for them to come out with a campaign that I hope will continue over time and not just be a one and done. Because it's only going to get worse next year with midterm elections. And we're going to see all kinds of racism and anti-Semitism rear its ugly head in 2022.
I think the poster with wearing a yarmulke for a week was particularly good because people don't realize until they're in that position how bad it can be. And that one, I think many people could associate with and putting into different contexts of doing something else to be what you're not and see how hard it can be. So I think some of the others wouldn't necessarily evoke the right reaction.
Interestingly, about the same time, Chabad of, well, it's Chapel Hill, Durham, I guess, but they have 2 houses now, put up for the first time signs that said Happy Hanukkah. And it was kind of interesting. I had never seen them before, and I'm sure I would have noticed because this is a dinky town. And it's right next to some political signs, and those folks know how to market. I was pretty impressed.
I don't know how many of you shop at Elan HEB, but they have had very prominent Happy Hanukkah and other displays all this past week, and it's really been fun to see. They do the same at Passover. They'll have a Passover show of foods, and they usually have a band there on a Sunday morning, and it's a lot of people don't really understand it, but these Happy Hanukkah signs and Shalom have been right at the entrances and very prominent. We've
noticed the TV ads have had Hanukkah stuff on them for AGB. It's interesting. When I was at camp this summer, I chose to wear a kippah all the time, to see how I felt and to see if it was something that I wanted to continue doing when I came home. And I was very comfortable wearing it at camp all the time. And I came home and I did not feel so comfortable wearing it all the time here in San Antonio.
Would most people?
And I don't know that I don't know why I don't feel comfortable wearing it in San Antonio.
I think I can answer that question for you. I've lived all over the United States. I've lived all over Canada. I have never, let me preface my statement by saying, I know that racial prejudice exists, but I don't believe in it. I try to look at alternatives before I jump to being racial problems. God sent me here for a reason. And that reason is being he knew that if I say there are racial problems in San Antonio, people are going to listen because they all know I would take every route possible before I get to the route of racial prejudice. There are racial problems in San Antonio, Texas, and I want to respond to the things that you showed. I'm sorry, I'm facing it. I think they're very effective. Except for the one that she said, like chocolate. I didn't understand that one. Chocolate hummus. And I think the one that, I'm sorry, I don't know your names very well, but the one regarding the Hanukkah, that was very effective, extremely effective, because it makes people to stop and think.
So let me ask another question. I'm going to direct this to those of you who have school-age kids. Not a lot of you on tonight, but those of you who do have school-age kids. Part of the materials that have been widely publicized are materials for kids, for school age kids. And, you know, and we've been, as educators, we've been urged to really focus on teaching kids about anti-Semitism. How, as parents, how do you feel about that?
You're talking about teaching Jewish kids or teaching?
Yes, in our congregational programs.
Well, I just realized that I need to help Aaliyah connect better, because what that actually means, because she asked me what is anti-Semitism, and I've talked with her about it, but I've never named it. I've never named it before. So we're gonna have to go back and have some more discussions about that again, just to familiarize herself with, to familiarize her with the connection between things that I've pointed out to her that have happened, and that they are actually anti-Semitic. So
I have a question. When you teach children, what, and this may sound really basic, but how do you define anti-Semitism? Because there's three different things that I hear, and in my mind, I separate them. People who are opposed to Israel policies, not people. The second one is people, Christian religions that believe that you have to believe in Jesus in order to be saved, but they don't hate. And then third, to me, anti-Semitism is Hitler. It has nothing to do with your religion. It has nothing to do with your beliefs. If your grandfather was Jewish, you're Jewish, you deserve to be dead. It's a racial thing. So how do you explain that to a child? Because I don't really get the difference.
It's a great question.
Exceptional job of explaining. I think you did an exceptional job in explaining. I have a PhD in education. I've been an assistant superintendent, elementary principal, et cetera. I caution people about how you're addressing these issues with children, because what you can do, unless you address the issue correctly, and this is the point that you're making, you're going to end up creating more problems for these kids rather than helping them. So I think the points that you're making are very valid. Thank you.
So the way I would do it is, I would say, first of all, there's a difference between not knowing, right? There's a difference between ignorance and hate, right? If you ask a question, you know, or you say something because you don't know, that's completely different than saying something because you hate, right? If you say something because you hate, that's anti-Semitism. Because you hate Jews specifically. You say, you know, for example, you know, you say something about, you say something about, something that comes from a stereotype, because that's what you've heard and you don't know any better. That comes from ignorance. That's not necessarily hatred. That's just because you don't know any better. That needs education. But someone who is saying these things because they hate, that's completely different. Someone who wants to do people harm simply because they are Jewish and for no other reason than they're Jewish, that's anti-Semitism.
I would have a question.
Yes.
How many of our congregants are comfortable with putting out a menorah in a window where other people can see it?
It's a great question.
I am comfortable, but I don't know how many of you are.
We would never have done it because to my parents, that was doing something similar to Christmas decorations. And so to them, having the menorah was something private. I don't have any objection to it, but that's not something I would have thought of doing.
In my case, I would have no problem of it, but since I'm in the conversion class and we were told to come out of the closet, I made a point of actually buying several Star of David pendants so I could come out of the closet. And it's been kind of interesting amongst my friends, but
We have, we have a decoration on our front door. We usually put an electric or battery operated one in the front window. We didn't this year for whatever, I don't know. We just got lazy this year and didn't decorate. But we usually do. We usually put something in the front door, in the front window. And we are very comfortable doing so. We live in a neighborhood that's supportive of that. I don't know if we knew that we lived in a neighborhood that wasn't supportive of it, that we would be so comfortable.
I know I have my menorah in the window, and usually during Hanukkah, I have a blow up Hanukkah dog that I put out on the front lawn. And this year I just kind of been one of the bah humbug kind of spirits this year. But I worry every year putting up the Hanukkah dog that something's going to happen. But I've been putting it up for several years, and I've never had I've had people get excited to see it, as opposed to any hate that I've never received that.
We've been putting ours up. I mean, I've even when I was younger and we lived in a different part of San Antonio, we've always put ours in the window.
So what do you think, Laura, Adam, April, should I address it on Sunday at Kesher?
Yes.
Yes, I think that establishing some type of boundary where kids can understand where above that boundary and below that boundary is anti-Semitic and non-anti-Semitic. I think that that's
I'm just saying yes.
important.
See, and Alec wore a kippah to school. I think it was either last week or the week before last, when the issue with the loaded dreidel came up. And one of the things that ended up happening was like some kid said something to him. I don't know exactly what he was said or what was said or anything like that, but all of a sudden it's like he's pulling back. So I mean, and I don't know. I don't want him to feel like that. Like he can't do certain things because somebody's going to say something or they're going to make a comment or it just.
Well, as this sort of develops, I'm going to be keeping an eye on it and seeing what else they come up with. I mean, this was specifically focused on Hanukkah, shine a light, specifically focused on Hanukkah, but I have a feeling that there's going to be more, coming out. And I'll, keep you informed as things develop. But I was fascinated by this whole campaign, and especially when these signs appeared, and I saw pictures of them, as I had friends that posted them that live in New York City, that posted the pictures of these electronic billboards that showed up in Times Square. So I was fascinated by this and thought to ask for your thoughts on it. So Adam, playing the role of David tonight. The announcements.
And I'm a poor version of David. My jokes are not as good. Actually, they're horrible. So, okay. One of the things that David always does is he makes sure to account for the number of computers that we're on. And I think we maxed out at 20. Currently, we are at 19. So that's a good number to be at. Further, from what I understand, the things I'm supposed to mention are threefold. 1, Hanukkah celebrations, 2, Kesher, and then I did want to bring up the adult education class that's coming up. So I'm going to hit the Hanukkah stuff first. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., make sure that, and I'm supposed to underscore the fact that it's early, it's starting at 5. There's a separate link for it, and the link was supposed to come out in the email. And if you didn't receive the email, give us a heads up, you'll get the email. And we are doing, it's a join together for Havdalah and candle lighting, virtual dreidel game, Hanukkah, Jeopardy, and Cahoots quiz game. On Sunday, there's a candle lighting at a movie at 6. So that's the Hanukkah. That's the Hanukkah stuff. Kesher starts up again December 5th. So begins at, what is that, 10? I should know this by heart, but it begins at 10 a.m. And watch your emails for the supply list and the link. So the third thing is adult education, and coming in January, One Tree, Many Branches, exploring the prayer books of the major Jewish movements. Tuesday, 7 p.m., January 11th through February 1st. And I think that's it. I think that covered it all. And no jokes. So Dave, come back, tell more jokes.
All right. We are going to continue with the concluding part of our service as soon as Adam brings the slide deck back up. Thank you. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula liotzer breshit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yoseh haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. Remember Therese Kordelsky, mother of Matthew Kordelsky, and Darlene Connolly, mother of Adrian Chevalier, who are in the period of Shloshim, the 30 days after their death. We remember Edward F. Chevalier, father of Ed Chevalier, Gordon Prather, father of Barbara Silverstein, and Michael Weintraub, husband of Sue Weintraub, whose anniversary of the death is observed this Shabbat. And we remember 10 people who perished in the Holocaust. Fortune Van Meer, Lena Mendelsohn, Lyntia Mayer, Altia de Liu, Rosette Leeson, Amelie Levy, Sarah Lyons, Jeanette Mendez, Carolina Meyer, and Minjla Mingle Grun. Are there others who are observing a yard site or have a name to mention for Kaddish?
David Cohen.
Thank you.
Stephen Sondheim and the students in Oxford, Michigan.
Thank you. Zichronam Livarcha, their memories are an abiding blessing as we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'alam l'amei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei kudsha, b'richu. La'ela minko birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace on high help us make peace here on earth and send peace to all who are bereaved, as we say. Amen. Last year, Kendra Rachel Gottlieb Kamowitz wrote these new lyrics to Light One Candle. The pandemic lyrics she called them. And when I looked at it this year, I realized it was still so very relevant. And especially with the emergence of a new variant. And so I decided to keep it for this year. And this is how we're going to conclude our service this evening. Light one candle for the doctors and nurses who put all their lives on the line. Light one candle for those in our family connection and presence and love. This is the promise and this is the hope, and we ask for God's help from above. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out. Who would like to lead us in the Kiddush tonight? Any takers?
In my raspy voice tonight.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemase v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon Inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz b'te'avon. Of course. Chanukia challah. For Hanukkah.